Hello everyone, welcome to the discussion of the structure of previous year questions and answer writing practice. So let's continue from where we left. So let's discuss this question. What is recombinant DNA technology? Explain how it is helping in the benefit of health and environment sector. Alright, so it should be very simple. First you start with defining recombinant DNA technology. It involves manipulating of DNA to create new genetic combinations, offering significant advancements in both health and environment sectors. Right. Now, if you want, after this, you can write about different techniques of recombinant DNA technology. Right. If you want, you can write about different techniques, deleting a gene or inserting a particular gene, inserting a combination of genes. All those things, if you want, you can write. But the question is focused on applications in the health and environment sector. Right. So you write about health sector first, production of medicines, vaccines, right? So insulin is a medicine which is produced by genetically modified bacteria. Then there are recombinant vector vaccines which are using this technology. Then you can cure genetic disorders, you can detect genetic disorders, you can personalize the treatments, right? And you can discover new medicines by studying the genetic makeup of different organisms. You can understand the functioning of different genes, right, which can facilitate these two things, development of medicines and personalized treatments. All right. Then in the environmental sector, it supports use of GMOs to clean up pollutants. So you can use bacteria for degrading of oil spill. Then you can use GM crops for pest resistance and increase in yield, like BT cotton. Then you can enhance your biofuel production by using genetically modified yeast. There is a scope for reintroduction of endangered species. Example, cloning of the endangered northern white rhinoceros. Then you can manage waste, for example, using bacteria to detoxify radioactive waste. So you can see that there are different applications, but those applications become much more impactful if you are giving the examples. So in the exam, always remember that wherever it is possible for you, wherever you can do it, give the proper example. Whenever you give examples, you are leaving an impression to the examiner that you have understood every concept thoroughly, right? And you have studied more than people who are just writing applications, right? So it gives a proper depth to your answer and it leaves a good impression to the examiner. So you definitely are going to be awarded more marks for writing proper examples. Okay. Then you can write about challenges related to this technology. There are ethical concerns about genetic manipulation in humans. Then there is biosafety risks, right, by introduction of different genes. There is a stringent regulation. Then public does not perceive it to be safe. Then there are IPR issues which lead to monopolies and restricted access to technologies, right? Then there is high cost involved for these technologies, and there is uncertainty about health and environment impacts, right? Then you can write this conclusion, general conclusion. All right. So in this way, you can proceed with such type of questions. All right. Let's move to health. So you can see that the questions on pandemic and COVID were asked back in the day, and a question was asked on basic principle behind vaccine development. How do vaccines work? What approaches were adopted by the Indian manufacturers to produce COVID-19 vaccines? Again, very simple structure. You just write the introduction, right? Then you write about principle of vaccine development, right? Then you write about working of vaccines, right? Then you write about approaches of Indian manufacturers, and then you conclude, right? Then you can conclude. It's simple structure already given it to you in the question. Then COVID-19 pandemic has caused unprecedented devastation. However, technological advancements are being availed readily to win over the crisis. Give an account of how technology was sought to aid management of the pandemic. So you can see that the question has given you some statements about the pandemic and technology, but they are asking you about only one thing: how technology was sought to aid management of the pandemic. So it is a 250 word question if they're asking only one thing, it's not like you have to write 10-15 points on this on one thing only. So how will you structure it? First you can write introduction, right? Then you can write about if you want, you can write about impact of pandemic also, but it's not necessary. But if you want, you can write about impact of pandemic, right? That will naturally flow to the next part, which is technology. How did technology help in the management of the pandemic? So you can again divide this use of technology for one for pandemic, right, which is the general management of the pandemic, like development of Arogya Setu apps, right, or your temperature thermometers, all those things. And the other thing can be how it helped people during the pandemic, right, by like things like video call and like all these things, okay, internet, right. So you can divide, if you want, you can divide how technology helped during the pandemic. You can divide it into two parts. First is the management of the pandemic, and second is the people. Then you can write about issues due to lack of technology, right. Why are we writing this? Because it's a 250 word question. If you don't have content, you can complete your answers by writing about what were the issues that caused problems to people who were not having the technology. So things like digital divide. Not everyone could afford to attend online classes, right. Then you can finally write your conclusion. But please remember that although the answer is structured like this, the main crux of your answer, the main focus of your answer has to be the how technology has helped in the management of the pandemic. So this is the main part of your answer. So this should be most of your answer. About 60-70% of your answer should be this, right? And the rest should be very, very small. In fact, you can just write 3-4 small points. Then again, in the issues due to lack of technology, you can write about 3-4 small points. Okay. Then, can overuse and free availability of antibiotics without doctor's prescription be contributors to the emergence of drug-resistant diseases? Yes. So in the introduction, you directly write yes. Overuse and free availability can cause AMR. Then what are the available mechanisms for monitoring and control of AMR? Okay, critically discuss the various issues involved. So what you can do is, in the introduction you have clarified that yes, these are the causes. Then you can discuss different causes of AMR, right. Then you can write about mechanisms for control, right, and monitoring, control and monitoring. They are asking you about, always notice that they are asking you about both monitoring and control. So you will get points for writing both control and monitoring. Okay. Then you can simply write about way forward in your conclusion, right. What should be the way forward? You can write in the conclusion, right. Then you look at the next question. What do you understand by fixed dose drug combinations? Discuss their merits and demerits. Very, very simple. You just write about FDCs, you define them, then you write merits, then you write demerits, and you are done, right. Then you write conclusion. Okay. So let's discuss one question. What are lifestyle diseases? Explain with examples. What are the steps taken by the government to reduce the incidence of such diseases? So what are lifestyle diseases? You just explain it in the introduction. They are non-communicable diseases caused by unhealthy lifestyle choices and habits. Underline this part, right. Then they are saying explain with examples. So you write about types of lifestyle diseases by using different kinds of examples. So cardiovascular, diabetes, respiratory, cancer, obesity. You can see that everywhere the example is underlined because the question is focusing on example, explaining with examples, right. Then it is asking you about what are the steps taken by the government. So instead of directly jumping into the steps taken by the government, first you can write about concerns, because government is going to take steps because there are concerns, right. So what are those concerns? If you're writing that, your answer will look more complete. Alright, so you can write about concerns due to lifestyle diseases, increased morbidity and mortality, economic burden on the individuals and economies, reduced quality of life, pressure on healthcare infrastructure. Then you can write about steps taken by the government, that there is a national program for prevention and control of cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases and stroke. National health policy has a target of reducing the mortality from such diseases by 25% by next year, right, by 2025. Then you can write about Fit India movement, promoting active lifestyle and sports, right. Then Eat Right India movement, which is FSSAI promoted. Then ban on tobacco and alcohol advertisements, initiatives for pollution control, school health programs, popularizing of yoga activities, right. You can also write about Ayushman Bharat, how it will help in the treatment for non-communicable diseases, right. And then in the conclusion you can link it to the SDG, good health and well-being. So in this way you have to proceed with such topics. Okay. So let's look at nuclear technology. With growing energy needs, should India keep on expanding its nuclear energy program? Discuss the facts and fears associated with nuclear energy. So again, structure is always going to be very simple. You write the introduction, right? Then you write about India's nuclear energy program. India's nuclear energy program. Alright. Then you write about benefits because of this program, which are the facts. Facts are the benefits. Then concerns related to these programs will be the fears. They are asking about benefits and concerns. The words they are using is facts and fears, but what they mean is benefits and concerns. And then in the conclusion you can write about your stand. Should India keep on expanding its nuclear energy program? Yes, right. So you can write that in the introduction also, or you can write that in the conclusion, anywhere you find it suitable. Right. Give an account of the growth and development of nuclear science and technology in India. What are the advantages of fast breeder reactor program in India? Alright. Again you will write introduction and you will write about India's program, right. Growth and development of nuclear science and technology, right. They are asking you to give an account. So they are essentially asking you about India's nuclear program, the 3-stage program, right. Then you write about advantages of fast breeder reactors. Again, in the end, if you want to write about concerns related to this to the topic, you can write about that, and then you can write about conclusion, right. Then we come to nanotechnology. What do you understand by nanotechnology and why is it helping? How is it helping in the health sector? So again, introduction, you definitely define what is nanotechnology, right. Then you write about, if you want, you can further expand on your definition. If you're not satisfied with your introduction, you can further expand on your definition in the next subheading, which is like features of nanotech or principles of nanotech. Like you can give any such heading, and you can write 3-4 short points. But the main part is how is it helping in the health sector. So applications of nanotech in health. Here you have to write a lot of points. You can try targeted drug delivery and all those things, nanorobots, sensors. There are different points. You can write about applications of nanotechnology in health, and then you can write a conclusion, right, that there are certain concerns and then all those concerns should also be addressed, all those kinds of things. Okay, then why is nanotechnology one of the key technologies of the 21st century? Describe the salient features of India's government's missions on nanotechnology and the scope of its application in the development process of the country. Again, they are talking about nanotechnology and its applications and government missions. So very simple, you write introduction, again you focus on why is nanotechnology a key technology, why is it a key technology, you write that. Then you write about features of India's mission, right, features of nano mission, right. Then scope of application, See, the structure is already given in the question, right? Why is nanotechnology one of the key technologies? First you have to write this, then you have to write about government's mission, then you have to write about scope of the application, then you can finally conclude, right? So it's given in the question itself. Alright, so let's discuss a question on nanotechnology. Why is nanotechnology one of the key technologies of the 21st century? Critically explain. Alright, so let's try and answer this. Of course, the structure is going to be very simple. First, you explain what is nanotechnology in the introduction. It's the manipulation of matter at atomic and molecular scale, and it is heralded as one of the key technologies due to its transformative potential. Alright, then you write about potential of nanotechnology. So why are we doing this? Because they are asking you to critically explain. So you have to write about both positives and negatives. So in the positives you are writing plus a potential, and in the negatives you will be writing about concerns, right? So you can write it will be used for targeted drug delivery, like for cancer cells, for pollution controls using nanofilters, for electronic items like quantum dots. Nobel Prize was awarded last year for quantum dots, so do read up on it. Then nano based sensors are also going to help in monitoring of air quality, etc. So there are tons of applications of nanotechnology. You can write as many as you want. 4 or 5 points are going to be alright for you. Then you write about concerns, that nanoparticles are toxic, they can lead to respiratory issues, right? They can cause problems in ecosystems, like nano-sized plastics, they can accumulate, right? So that can cause bioaccumulation or biomagnification, right? They have high development costs. There is a lack of comprehensive regulation. There are ethical concerns. They can lead to job losses, right? One of the health issues you can also write is blood-brain barrier, right? Nanoparticles can breach the blood-brain barrier, which can also cause some kind of health issues, right? Then you can write about a conclusion. Nanotechnology has great potential, but its development must be balanced with careful consideration of health, environment, economic, regulatory, ethical impacts for sustainable and equitable progress. So you can see how we are structuring answers and how we are writing the introductions and conclusions. Right, you can see that there are examples given wherever possible, right? So you can also try and give examples wherever you find it easier, right? Let's move on. Now we come to communications, IT and computers. So you can see the questions that have been asked till now. Discuss the advantage and security implications of cloud hosting of servers vis-a-vis in machine based hosting for government business. Now this was asked back in 2015, right? So it must have been news at that point of time. That is why this question was asked. Otherwise it's not a very frequent topic, right? Hosting of servers. But yes, we can discuss its structure. You write the introduction, right? Then they are asking you about advantage and security implications of cloud hosting vis-a-vis in-house machine-based hosting. Right. So usually what is happening is, if you have read about cloud computing, hosting of servers on cloud computing is considered to be much easier. It can be scaled on a larger scale because you are hosting on the cloud, right? If you are hosting a server on the cloud, you don't have to invest in this infrastructure for in-house servers, right? You don't have to have a physical infrastructure in place for your servers. You can just host on the cloud. You can use some services provided by companies and you can host on the cloud, right? So what you have to do is, first you write the introduction, then you distinguish between cloud and in-house hosting, right? Then you write about the advantages of cloud hosting, because they are asking you about advantage and security implications of cloud hosting. Then you write about the advantages of cloud hosting. Then you write about the security implications, right? Security implications of cloud hosting, and then you can conclude, right? This is how you proceed for this answer. Then a question was asked in 2013, what is digital signature? What does its authentication mean? Give various salient built-in features of a digital signature. Again, digital signature you must have seen in Aadhaar cards or in any document that is electronically signed. There is a digital sign that attaches a sign of authenticity to that document, right? So in the introduction you will just define what is a digital signature, right? Then you will simply follow the question meaning of authentication of digital signature, right? Then you will write about features, various features, right? Then because it is only 100 words, in 2013 the pattern was different, so even questions of 100 words were asked in those years, right? So basically if a question like this is asked today for 10 marks, you can just write about features and its advantages, right? And if you want, you can also write about security concerns, right? And then you can conclude. So even in your conclusion you can write about security concerns, or you can write it as a separate heading and then conclude suitably, right? You can even have a one-line conclusion. At times if you are writing an answer which has many subheadings and you feel that I have to write a conclusion also, then it can only be one single line if you don't have time, or if you are running out of space. All right, then let's come to the next question. How does the 3D printing technology work? List out the advantages and disadvantages of this technology. Again, a very simple structure. First you introduce, right? Then you write about the features of the technology. Simply write about advantages after that, then write about disadvantages, and then conclude, right? So many questions you can see the structure is already given to you. You don't have to think much on the structures. Yes, at times when it is not given, then you have to apply your brain at times, and you have to finally come up with a good structure, right? So let's discuss one question. What is quantum supremacy? Explain its benefits and challenges. Again, I know most of you would be clear with the structure by now. First you will define what is quantum supremacy. It is the point where quantum computers will be performing a task that is beyond the capabilities of most powerful classical computers, right? So then they have asked about benefits and challenges. So you have one heading for benefits, another for challenges, right? So in the benefits you are writing about unprecedented computational power of quantum computers. So giving examples of quantum simulations for medicine research. Then cryptography, they will be helpful for, one of the techniques that is used is quantum key distribution. You can read about this technique also, comes up in news. Then you can apply this to supply chain optimization, traffic flow management. You can accelerate machine learning algorithms like training large neural networks. All right. Then there will be some challenges, which is that you need extremely low temperatures, so you need infrastructure for that, right? There is a lot of error. The error rates are very high in quantum computers, so you need to be dealing with that, right? Then you need substantial cooling systems like we discussed. Then these quantum computers could be breaking cryptographic systems, so the current encryption techniques might not be enough, so your data security will be threatened, your data privacy will be threatened, right? So all these answers, all these points you can write. Right? There can be other points also, of course. You can find out more points and you can basically write it over here. Then you can conclude by saying that quantum supremacy marks a pivotal point in computational science. However, challenges must be addressed to harness the full benefits for equitable and secure use. So this is how you proceed for these kind of answers. Okay. Alright, so let's come to the next topic, achievements of Indians in science and technology. So you can see that only 4 questions have been asked in all your previous years combined, and one of them you can say is more of a science of a space science and tech question, where they are asking you about India's achievements in space science. So let's look at these questions one by one. How has India benefited from the contributions of Sir M. Visvesvaraya and Dr. M. S. Swaminathan in the fields of water engineering and agricultural science respectively? Right, so very simple. You first write an intro, then you write about their contributions one by one. First you write contributions of Sir M. Vishvesvaraya, right? Then you do the same for M.S. Swaminathan, right? And then you conclude, right? So M.S. Vishvesvaraya was associated with dams and flood technologies, like flood control technologies, right? And M.S. Swaminathan was associated with green revolution. So if you do not know a lot of points, at least if you know the basics, you will be getting some good marks in these type of questions, right, which are very, very factual. Okay, then you look at this question. This was the one that I was referring to earlier in the first session. The work of Bose-Einstein statistics done by Professor Satyendranath Bose and how it revolutionized the field of physics. So yes, it is a very tough question considering the topic Bose-Einstein statistics. So if you do not know about how it is related to integer spin of atomic particles and subatomic particles, and how it is helpful in the quantum mechanics, like you might find it a bit difficult. But it was asked only once in all those years in such difficult questions. So don't worry too much in the exam when it is asked. Simplify the structure first. You write the introduction where you can introduce about, if you know about Bose-Einstein statistics, you can define it, or you can write something about Satyendranath Bose, right? Then you then you come to Bose-Einstein statistics, right? Bose-Einstein statistics, and you define what is it, right? And then you talk about the significance of Bose-Einstein statistics, and then you conclude, right? In this way you will proceed. All right. Discuss India's achievements in the field of space science and tech, how the application of this technology has helped India in the socio-economic development. Again, a very simple structure: intro, then you write about achievements of India in space science and technology, right? Then you write about how it has helped in the socio-economic development. Then if you want, you can write about challenges or concerns. Anything that you want, you can write about challenges in space science and technology, right? Then you can conclude. In your conclusion, you can be a bit more futuristic about this sector, about the space sector, right? You can write about the way forward or something like that. Okay. Scientific research in Indian universities is declining because a career in science is not as attractive as our business professions, engineering or administration, and the universities are becoming consumer oriented. So this was asked again a long time ago. Basically a question about scientific research, why is it declining in universities, and they are already trying to give you a reason for this, right? But you have to come up with a good structure. So what you do is, you have an intro, then you can write about reasons for decline in scientific research, right? Then you can write about solutions or steps taken by government, right, in the solutions, or you can write about steps taken by the government, and then you can conclude. Steps taken by government for what? For improving research, right? For improving research in science. So you can see how we are proceeding in these type of questions where structure is not clear. Just understand what they are asking and what can you contribute in this question, right? So they are mostly focusing on decline in research, so you can give all the reasons. Then obviously if you are giving all the reasons for decline, you cannot leave the problem at that, right? You have to also tell the solutions, like what are the solutions that the government is thinking about, or what are the solutions that can be taken, what are the steps that can be taken. All right, and then you can conclude. So let's look at one question How has Vikram Sarabhai and Homi Bhabha contributed to the growth of Indian science and technology? Discuss. So very easy. First you introduce both the eminent personalities, Vikram Sarabhai and Homi Bhabha. They were pivotal figures who played instrumental roles in shaping India's journey in space, science and technology and nuclear physics. Alright. So first you write about achievements of Vikram Sarabhai, Indian Space Program, ISRO, space research, international collaborations in space, peaceful uses of space. Right. You can also write about IIM Ahmedabad. Right. Vikram Sarabhai was the one who pioneered the establishment of IIM Ahmedabad. Then you can write about Homi Bhabha. He was the pioneer of India's nuclear program. He established PARC. India's first nuclear reactor was atomic reactor was developed by him. Then he promoted education at TIFR, which is the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. Right. Then they laid foundations for indigenous nuclear technology. So you can write all these points. If you have any other points, you can write that also. Then you can write about contributions. What are their contributions? They helped in the building of institutions, in the building of strategic vision for the country and inspiring the future generations. Right. So their efforts had a profound impact on the growth and development of Indian science and technology, shaping the nation's capabilities and aspirations in these critical fields. Right. So this is the way you can proceed for these kind of questions. Then let's come to the next topic, IPRs and issues. Okay. In a globalized world, intellectual property rights assume significance and are a source of litigation. Broadly distinguish between the terms copyrights, patents and trade secrets. Okay, so you start with introduction, right? Then you write about significance of IPRs, right? They are asking about significance of IPRs. Then you can also write about issues related to IPRs. Issues related to IPRs. Why? Because they are saying that it is also a source of litigation. So you can write about issues related to IPRs. After that, then you can define the terms. You can put a heading, understanding different terms, right? And then you can define each of these terms: copyrights, patents and trade secrets, right? You can write 3-4 points for each, or as many as you know, right? In this way you can write and then you can conclude, right? So this is the way that you can proceed for these kind of questions. So notice that they are saying that they have assumed significance and they are also a source of litigation. So you can also write about issues related to IPRs, right? Then they are asking for broad difference between the terms copyrights, patents and trade secrets. So you write that afterwards. Okay. Bring out the circumstances in 2005 which forced amendment to the section 3D of the Indian Patent Law 1970 and discuss how it has been utilized by the Supreme Court in its judgment in rejecting Novartis patent application for Glyvac. Discuss briefly the pros and cons of the decision. Again, a tough question from the same year 2013. It had many tough questions from science and tech, right? So this was asked because obviously it was a case, Supreme Court judgment at that point of time. So if any such judgment is coming up in the news right now, you can have a look over the same. Now here the structure is again going to be very simple. First of all, you have to talk about the circumstances which forced amendment, right? Circumstances for amendment to the Indian Patent Law Act, right? Then Supreme Court, how did it utilize? Supreme Court, how did it utilize the judgment? How did it utilize the amendment for its judgment in the case of Novartis and Glyvac, right? Then you write about pros of this decision and you write about cons of this decision, which is the next part where they are saying discuss briefly the pros and cons. So they are already saying briefly, so don't worry if you do not know many points. Even 2-3 points are going to be enough for such parts, right? So 2-3 points for pros and 2-3 points for cons. and then you can conclude. Alright, so in this way you can proceed. Then let's come to the next one. How is the government of India protecting traditional knowledge of medicine from patenting by pharmaceutical companies? Right, this is a very similar question to the next one, which is India's traditional knowledge digital library has a database containing formatted information on more than 2 million medicinal formulations. Right, there's a traditional knowledge digital library. Right, so all the Ayush medicines and all, they are the traditional knowledge of Indian medicine, right? So there's a database for all those things, and it is proving as a powerful weapon in the country's fight against erroneous patents. Discuss the pros and cons of making the database available publicly under the open source licensing. Okay, so again, all these questions must be sourced from current affairs from their respective years, but the structure for us will be again pretty simple. In the first one, you write the introduction, then you write traditional knowledge of medicine, right? What are the different traditional knowledge of medicines that we have, right? Then you write about steps taken by the government for protecting, traditional knowledge of medicine, right? Which is the main part of the question. They are asking, the main part of the question is, what are the steps that the government has taken for protecting the traditional knowledge of medicines? So one of the steps has been this knowledge digital library itself, right? There are many others which you can look up, right? Then in the next part you can write about concerns, right? Concerns or challenges that remain in the production of traditional medicine, and then you can write about the way forward or conclusion, right? Okay. Similarly, in the next one, here you have to write, first you have to write about the features of traditional knowledge digital library, right? Because they have this is the first line that they have been dedicated to traditional knowledge digital library. So you will write about this, then you write about pros of this digital database and cons of this digital database, and then you conclude. All right, this is simply how you write. So let's discuss one question from IPRs. What does the government aim to do with the help of Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act of 2001? Explain. Okay, so again here, first you explain what is the act about. It is the act to protect new plant varieties under the TRIPS agreement, right? Then you write about the objectives of the act: to encourage investments, promote seed industry, reward farmers, protect farmers' rights, protect breeders and researchers, intellectual properties, the broader public interests, right? Then you write about concerns that it is not properly implemented, there is a lack of awareness, you need to focus more on farmers' rights. Then there was a conflict between PepsiCo and farmers over the potato FL27 variety, right? And then your conclusion, and you can write about fair access of genetic resources and innovative plant breeding. So this is basically the broad structure for this answer. Of course, the points can vary. You can write your own points, whichever you find to be suitable for the answer, right? But the structure should be the same. First you write about the objectives, and you write about the concerns of the act, right? So when you're writing the objectives, you are essentially writing what does the government aim to do with the act, right? Then because if you're only writing the objectives, you're not covering the other aspect of it, which is what are the problems in the act, what are the issues related to the act, concerns related to the act. So you write that also, and then you can write a good conclusion as a way forward. Okay, let's come to the environment related questions. So last year there was a question which was asked about microorganisms. Discuss several ways in which microorganisms can help in meeting the current fuel shortage. Okay, so notice that they are asking you about microorganisms, but they are also signaling that there is a current fuel shortage, right? So either in the introduction you can write about fuel shortage, or you can write in the main body you can write fuel shortage, about fuel shortage, right? You give a heading about fuel shortage, and you write about what is happening, you write 2-3 points, right? Then you write about use of microorganisms. This is the main part of your answer. Use of microorganisms for meeting fuel shortage. Meeting fuel shortage. Then you can write about different ways in which they can help biofuels or fuel cells, or there are a variety of ways in which you can use microorganisms for meeting fuel shortage, right? So you write all those points and then you can write the conclusion, right? And if you want, you can, if you have time or if you have space, you can write about challenges also before conclusion, right? Because this is only a 10 marker, challenges are not necessary, but if you want, you can write quick 2-3 quick points on challenges also. Then describe the benefits of deriving electric energy from the sunlight in contrast to the conventional energy generation. What are the initiatives offered by the government for this purpose? Okay, so again, what is the question talking about? Benefits of electric energy from sunlight in contrast to conventional energy generation, right? And then the initiatives offered by the government for this purpose. Notice that this is a 15 marker. So what you do is first you write about electric energy, right? Electric energy benefits, or you can rephrase it as something like benefits of deriving electric energy from sunlight, right? Then you can write about government initiatives, and then you can, if you want, you can write about concerns that are related, or then you can simply conclude. Okay, so the structure in this question was also already given to you, right? Then look at the next question. What do you understand by run of river hydroelectricity project? How is it different from any other hydroelectricity project? Okay, again you write introduction, then you explain the features of run of the river hydroelectricity project, right? Then you write about advantages of such projects over other projects, right? So here you are covering the first part of the question, here you are covering the second part of the question. Then if you want, you can write the challenges, or you can simply conclude, because this is only a 5 marks 100 words question. Back in 2013 it was asked, right? So you can simply conclude if you want after this. So let's discuss the question. What is direct air capture of CO2? Mention the types of technology used in carbon sequestration. Alright, so there is no word limit specified by me over here. I can just write 15 marks, right? So let's treat it as a 15 marker, and let's see how can we structure it. So first you write about direct air capture. What is direct air capture? Capturing carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere, right? You know, carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. So one of the technologies is direct capture of carbon dioxide for reducing carbon emissions, right? So then they are asking about types of technology used in carbon sequestration. So in the types of technologies, again you can elaborate on direct air capture of carbon dioxide. So there are different ways: using chemicals to bind CO2 in the air, or using solid absorption. Adsorption means if you have a surface, if the carbon dioxide is going to be deposited on the surface, that is called as adsorption, right? So you can use that method, or you can use chemical absorption, right? Absorption means it will be absorbed in the solution, whatever solution you are using, right? Then there is carbon capture and storage, which is when you are going for fossil fuels, search of fossil fuels. Either you can capture carbon dioxide before it enters the atmosphere, right? When you are looking for fossil fuels before combustion, you can capture carbon dioxide, or you can capture it after combustion by using amine scrubbing technology. So all these are different ways of carbon sequestration. Then there is bioenergy. You can combine biomass with CO2 capture. Then you can react CO2 with naturally occurring minerals, right? Examples are given for you. Then you can use ocean based sequestration, where ocean is absorbing the carbon dioxide. So there are different methods for that, right? Example are in fertilization, right? Then if you want, over here I have not written, but if you want you can write about challenges related to carbon sequestration technologies, right? Challenges related to these technologies, right? They are very complex, they are very high cost, all they are different challenges. You can write about different challenges related to these technologies, and then you can conclude that all these technologies will help in the reduction of global greenhouse gas emissions, right? So basically you have covered direct air capture, you have covered the types of technology, and you have also written about challenges, and then in the conclusion you can just write the way forward, right? So this is the way in which you can proceed for such questions. Okay, let's come to the next part of the questions, which is generic questions. So last to last year there was a question on cellulose. Each year a large amount of plant material, cellulose, is deposited on the surface of planet Earth. What are the natural processes this cellulose undergoes before yielding carbon dioxide, water and other end products? Alright, so again a typical question, very factual, and what you can do over here is you can write the introduction, then you can write about processes that cellulose undergoes in nature. So you can write about different processes, like how it is forming, and then from there where does it go, all the basically all the whole cycle of cellulose. You can write about the whole cycle or the whole processes that cellulose undergoes in nature, right? Then you can write about some benefits of cellulose or some uses of cellulose if you want, although it's only a 10 marker, but you can definitely write some advantages of cellulose, right? Then you can conclude, right? The Nobel Prize in Physics of 2014 was jointly awarded to Akasaki, Amano and Nakamura for the invention of blue LEDs in 1990s, right? How has this invention impacted the everyday life of human beings? Okay, their question is about blue LEDs and how has this impacted the everyday life of human beings. So again you write introduction, then you write features of blue LEDs, right? Features of blue LEDs, because notice that there is a 15 marker question, you have to write something more, right? Rather than just how it is impacting everyday life, you have to also explain what is blue LEDs, the different features. Then you have to write about advantages of blue LEDs in everyday life, right? Right, and then you can suitably conclude. Okay. Then you look at this question: how is science interwoven deeply with our lives? What are the striking changes in agriculture triggered by the science-based technology? So this is a very simple question. If you have not read much on science and tech, even then you can answer this just based on your common sense. So you just write about intro, then you write how science is interwoven deeply in our lives, in everyday life, how we are using this. So in this question also, although it appears very simple, the difficult part is that there is so much to write in how science is interwoven. There are so many areas. So what you can do is, in this there should be substructures, right? There should be subheadings on how science is interwoven deeply in our lives, right? So you can write about how it is helping people in their work, how it is helping people in study, how it is helping in agriculture, how it is helping in industry, right? So there can be many facets of science, how it is helping, right? So one of the ways is this, or you can also consider a simple way where you can try and recall the different topics in your syllabus. So how is it helping with from the space sector? How is biotech helping, right? How is what you say, nuclear technology helping, or how is nanotechnology helping, right? So there are different technologies that you can use, and you can explain how they are helping in our lives, in an everyday life, right? Then they are specifically asking about agriculture. So after that, after introduction, and after that how it is helping in everyday life, you write about applications of science technologies in agriculture, right? Then you conclude, right? Because let's see one question, a generic question: what is semiconductor? How is it important for India's economy? Again, we have not specified the word limit. Let me make it 10 marks. Okay. What is semiconductor? You just define what is semiconductor: a material which with electrical conductivity between that of a conductor and an insulator. Examples are silicon, germanium, anything you can think of. Then why is it important for India's economy? For manufacturing electronic devices, for supply chain, exports, contributing to jobs. Make in India initiative will help, right? There will be defense electronics you can build, you can contribute to advanced technologies. Then you can write about challenges that we face for semiconductor economy, which is high capital investment, lack of technical expertise, global competition, need for supply chain reliability, right? Uncertain regulatory environments. All these things you can write. Okay. Then you can write how will it drive economic growth, technological innovation, and strategic autonomy. So all these things, if you want, you can write it like this, right? What you can also do, instead of challenges, if you want, you can write about steps taken by the government, like PLI initiative, right? Make in India, PLI initiative. What are the steps that the government has taken for promotion of semiconductor industries in India? Okay. So there can be several ways of approaching this answer. Right? There is one way in front of you. What you can do is, in the introduction, you definitely have to define what is semiconductor, right? Then you can write about potential of semiconductor, which will basically be the applications of semiconductors, right, in different sectors like electronics, in defense electronics, in your advanced technologies, right, in communication electronics. All right, and then you can write about significance for economy, right? Then you can write about steps taken by the government, and then you can do one thing. If you have combined the steps taken by the government in your significance for economy, right, in the significance for economy, you can give examples of the steps taken by the government. Then in the conclusion, you can write about various challenges and way forward, right? You can combine challenges and way forward. Okay. So there are various ways of approaching such questions. You can see when you come across these questions, there is no one way of approaching them, right? But your answer should be complete, right? It should be clear that you are writing about potential of semiconductors, you are writing about their significance for India's economy, various government initiatives should be there, some aspect of challenges also, and some aspect of way forward also should be there in your answer, right? Depending on whether it's a 10 marker or a 15 marker. Okay. Then let's come to some miscellaneous questions. So how is S-400 air defense system technically superior to any other system presently available in the world? So here you begin with introduction, then you write about features of S400, then you write advantages over other systems, advantages it has over other systems, right, and then you conclude, right. Simply you can conclude after this. What do you understand by umpire decision review system in cricket? Discuss its various components. Explain how silicon tape on the edge of the bat may fool the system. Again, you begin with introduction, right, where you explain what is the decision review system. Then you explain the different components. The structure is already given. They are asking you to discuss various components of the system. Then you write about silicon tape, how it can fool the system, right, how can it fool the system, write about this. Then you can write about way forward or conclusion, right. This is a 10 marker, so you can combine way forward or conclusion in your answer. Okay. Then there is, what is an FRP composite material? How are they manufactured? Discuss their application in aviation and automobile industry. So FRP composites, basically different kinds of polymers are combined to make some strong material, which has many advantages, like it is lightweight, it has good properties of conduction, right. You can mold it in a manner that you want, right. So basically you start with the introduction by defining what are FRP composites. Then how are they manufactured? You can write about how they are manufactured, right, processes of manufacturing, right. Again, you can see that these questions are from 2013, so 1 year the paper was slightly on a difficult side. There were many questions which were very factual. Usually in mains now you don't see very factual questions, but back in those years some factual questions were asked. So process of manufacturing of FRP composite is a very factual thing, right. It's not something that is commonly known. Okay, so if you don't know, you can try and think about different ways, like whatever comes to your mind in the exam, you can write about it. Then you can write the applications in aviation and automobile, and then you can write your conclusion, right. It was only a 100 marker question, so they did not expect you to know a lot anyway, right. So you write applications in aviation and automobile, and then you can write the conclusion. So let's see one question of the miscellaneous type. Discuss the impact of smart grid technology on energy efficiency and sustainability. What are the main challenges in implementing smart grids in India? Alright, so smart grids, a power grid, you must be knowing about power grids. So your power grid is the system from which the power is supplied to our homes, right. So your home will be over here, then there will be a tower, right, and there will be a power plant. So from the power plant, the power will be supplied to transmission lines, and then it finally reaches your home. So you can see that usually it's a one-way process. It's a one-way process. So what the smart power grid does is, it takes information from the consumers also, right. This is a home, so it takes information from the consumers also and gives it back to the grid. So what is happening is, the grid can interact with the consumers. So what happens because of this is that the supply and demand data can be worked in real time, right. So the power grids can use automation, and they can readjust the supply of power to where it is needed, and at what time is it needed, right. So it can optimize the power usage, it can save on electricity, can save on energy, right. So all these advantages are there of the system. You can read more about it. So you can see smart grid technology revolutionizes the electricity grid by integrating advanced communication and monitoring capabilities, enhancing operational efficiency and sustainability. So impact is optimizing electricity generation, seamless integration of renewable energy, right. So you can combine solar and wind power So if solar is not there, you can get power from the wind energy, right? Similarly, if wind is not there, you can get power from solar energy. Enables real time response, right? Minimizes power outages, reduces operational costs. Then there are certain challenges, which is investment, right? Policies, ensuring compatibility between various components, right? Like solar and wind components, right? Then there is problem of cyber threats. So wherever digitalization is there, there is a problem of cyber threats and data privacy, right? Then consumers, you need to educate consumers also for this, right? So smart grid technology holds immense potential for India's energy landscape, for energy efficiency, sustainability and reliability, right? While addressing key challenges to its implementation. So all these are ways in which smart grid technology can help. So this is the way in which you can write this answer. First you write about the impact and then you write about the challenges, right? Discuss the impact and what are the main challenges, right? You have defined also in the introduction, you will define, then you will write impact, then you will write challenges, and then you will simply write conclusion, right? This was the way in which we have proceeded. Okay, so let's continue in the next video. All the best and keep writing good answers.